What's up, everyone? Golden Ticket to History coming to you from Sanford, Florida. It's a video I've been wanting to do pretty much since I started doing videos about 6 months ago. And it's a true crime video. It's a notorious video, it's a very controversial case. And it's been something that's been on my bucket list for a while, and I finally had the opportunity to make it out to the location this afternoon. And it is the murder location of Trayvon Martin, which occurred on February 26, 2012, when Trayvon Martin, 17, was up visiting from Miami with his father. His father was visiting his fiancée, who lived in a townhome in Sanford. And during the halftime of the NBA All-Star game, Trayvon decided to go to a local 7-Eleven to get a Arizona sweet tea and a bag of Skittles. And on his way back, he was confronted by the neighborhood watch coordinator, who was George Zimmerman. There was an altercation, supposedly an altercation. The only two people who really know exactly how everything went down. And ultimately, George Zimmerman pulled out his firearm and shot Trayvon Martin, to which he passed away about 70 yards from his father's fiance's house. It's extremely windy today, so my original plan was to be able to spend a little bit of time, going over, looking at all the different steps, but because of the wind, as well as also trying to maintain a level of respect, one of the biggest things I wanted to ensure by doing this video was that I didn't, one, become too much of a presence to rehash any of these memories that some of the residents who live in that area may still have from that time period, as well as just to ensure that I was being respectful of both the families involved with the case, as well as being respectful of the community to which this occurred in. This occurred about 30 minutes outside of my backyard, so it's something that occurred when I was here. I remember when I was going through and all of the societal impacts that came from it. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to show you the locations. I ended up deciding to do a voiceover. So you're going to see me uploading a voiceover for the audio. I'm going to show you the area where the altercation occurred. I'm going to show you the area where ultimately Trayvon was shot, where he was pronounced dead, as well as show you the location of where the 7-Eleven was, and kind of how the whole chain of events played out, where Zimmerman first saw him, how the 911 calls played out, where he stopped, where they had their initial altercation, and how all the series of events played out, and the aftermath. As always, these are very touchy videos, really difficult videos to do. It's one I've been spending months trying to figure out how I wanted to approach it. And even today, with filming it, I'm still not 100% satisfied with what the outcome's going to be. But with anything, taking into all accounts the community, the people, the neighbors, the individuals who were affected directly by it, people who were affected indirectly by it, sometimes it's okay to sit back and let things be what they're naturally going to be. So hopefully you enjoy this video. Hopefully it sheds light on the issues involved with it, how we've changed as a society since it. And if you like this video, please make sure to subscribe, make sure to like it, put in the comments things that you liked, things you didn't like, and things you'd like to see in the future. There's some other things going on in the very near future. Definitely continue to look for the history.
Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old African-American, was returning from a convenience store when he was noticed by George Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch volunteer of German and Peruvian ancestry. George Zimmerman contacted the non-emergency line of the Sanford Police Department, mentioned that there had been burglaries in the neighborhood, and told the dispatcher that he had observed a real suspicious guy who was walking around looking about. George Zimmerman also described Trayvon Martin as someone up to no good, or he's on drugs or something. The dispatcher communicated to Zimmerman that the police did not need him to follow Martin, but Zimmerman nevertheless left his vehicle. He later stated that he left his vehicle to ascertain his location by taking a closer look at a street sign. A violent confrontation ensued, and Zimmerman fired his weapon at Martin at close range, causing Martin's death. When police arrived, Zimmerman argued that he had been assaulted by Trayvon Martin, who was unarmed and fired in self-defense. Concluding they could not hold Zimmerman because no evidence contradicted his version of the event and because state law permitted the use of deadly force and self-defense, the police released him. In the following weeks, as Zimmerman remained uncharged, the shooting drew increasing attention. On March 12th, the chief of the Sanford police affirmed that no criminal charge could be filed against George Zimmerman, mainly because of the absence of probable cause. A day later, however, a Sanford police investigator assigned to the case recommended that Zimmerman be charged with manslaughter, on the basis the violent encounter between the two men could have been avoided. George Zimmerman remained free, which was seen by many as an injustice, and demonstrations demanding his prosecution for murder were organized in the cities across the United States. In April 2012, the governor of Florida, Rick Scott, appointed a special prosecutor for the case, who brought a special criminal charge of second-degree murder against George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman's trial, which began more than a year later in June of 2013, received intensive media coverage. The prosecution argued that Martin's death resulted from George Zimmerman's profiling of him as a criminal and trying to take the law into his own hands. The defense argued that the evidence corroborated Zimmerman's version of the event, namely that he fired his weapon because Martin was attacking him and that he felt that his life was threatened. Central elements of the incident, however, could not be ascertained. For instance, witnesses disagreed on which the two men could be heard screaming for help on a recorded calling to emergency services. Although the original criminal charge brought against Zimmerman was second-degree murder, the judge also gave the jury the option of convicting him of the lesser charge of manslaughter. In order to find George Zimmerman guilty of second-degree murder or manslaughter, the jury had to find not only that Zimmerman had caused Martin's death, but he also did so not in self-defense. The issue of self-defense was linked to Florida's law permitting the use of deadly force to defend oneself against a perceived threat, known as a stand-your-ground law, which was central to the debate over the shooting. Instructions to the jury referenced the law, but Zimmerman's lawyers ultimately did not invoke Zimmerman's rights under it, because they argued that he did not have the option to retreat anyway. On July 13, 2013, after more than 16 hours of deliberation, the jury declared Zimmerman not guilty. Martin's death heightened the debate over the persistence of racism in the United States, and in particular over the issue of racial profiling. In March 2012, President Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the United States, expressed his dismay at the shooting, saying that if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. Later, Obama compared Martin to his younger self and characterized racial profiling as a reality that most African Americans, including himself, have had to face. Protests continued across the United States in the wake of the Zimmerman verdict and led to the formation of the prominent Black Lives Matter social movement, which focused on better treatment of African Americans in all facets of American society. Right here in the middle of this sidewalk is where the fight concluded between Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. To the right is where the fight ultimately ended. It's where Trayvon Martin was shot fatally in the chest and died moments later. At approximately 7:09 p.m., Zimmerman called the Sanford Police non-emergency line to report the suspicious person in the Twin Lakes community. Zimmerman mentioned that the person had his hand in his waistband and was walking around looking at homes. He also mentioned that the person was wearing a dark hoodie like a gray hoodie. About 2 minutes into the call, Zimmerman said he's running. The dispatcher asked, "He's running? Which way is he running?" Noises on the tape at this point have been interpreted by some media outlets as the sound of a car door chime, possibly indicating Zimmerman opened his car door. Zimmerman followed Martin, eventually losing sight of him. The dispatcher asked if he was following him. When Zimmerman answered yes, the dispatcher said, "We don't need you to do that." Zimmerman responded, "Okay." Zimmerman asked that the police call him upon his arrival so that he could let them know where his location is. Zimmerman ended the call at 7:15 p.m. After Zimmerman ended the call with police, a violent encounter took place between him and Martin. It ended with Zimmerman fatally shooting Martin 70 yards from the rear door of the townhouse where Martin was staying. A Sanford police officer showed up at approximately 7:17 p.m. between 5 and 65 seconds after the fatal shot was fired. He reported finding Zimmerman standing near Martin, who was lying face down in the grass and unresponsive. At that time, Zimmerman stated to Smith that he had shot Martin and was still armed. Smith handcuffed Zimmerman and confiscated his black Kel-Tec PF9 9mm semi-automatic pistol. Smith observed that Zimmerman's back was wet and covered with grass, and he was bleeding from his nose and the back of his head. When a second officer arrived, he began to start applying CPR to Martin. Paramedics soon arrived and continued the CPR, finally declaring Martin dead at 7:30 p.m.
What's up, everyone? Quick video. Right behind me is the 7-Eleven where 17-year-old Trayvon Martin came to on that fateful night, February 26, 2012, where he came during the halftime of the NBA All-Star game, where he came here to pick up a bag of Skittles and an Arizona sweet tea for his fiance's son, I believe it was. So yes, after leaving here, this is about a mile away from the house. He went, I'm assuming he must have cut through somewhere over here. I'm assuming maybe on the other side of these apartment buildings would be where the house is at, so maybe it might be as far as it seems. But the long way around driving is about a good mile and a half almost. So I think it maybe cut some time out by cutting through this brush behind me. But this is the 7-Eleven right here, where Trayvon Martin went on February 26, 2012, before being caught up in the altercation with George Zimmerman, which ultimately ended with his life being taken. So yes, this is the exact 7-Eleven that Trayvon Martin went to and purchased the Skittles and the Arizona sweet tea that he had on his possession when he was murdered.